America has a river that's only 201 feet long. That's shorter than a single lap around an Olympic track. Meanwhile, the Mississippi River is so massive, a single drop of water takes 90 days to reach the ocean. And believe it or not, that same river once flowed backward after a series of massive earthquakes. From the tiniest trickles to the continent's mightiest water highways, America's rivers are far more extreme than most realize. Get ready to journey through the wild, the weird, and the absolutely unbelievable. From a river shorter than your driveway to others that cross international borders, change their course overnight, or don't even make it to the sea, these waterways are anything but ordinary. Today, we're diving into 50 unbelievable about America's rivers that prove just how extreme and unpredictable they really are. Roe River, Montana, shortest river in the US. In Great Falls, Montana, there's a river so short you might miss it if you blink. The Roe River flows just 201 feet from the Giant Springs to the Missouri River, 49. Dee River, Oregon. The Great River Rivalry. Over in Oregon, the city of Lincoln City once claimed their own river. The Dee River was the shortest in the world. At high tide, it's measured at just 120 feet. At low tide, it stretches to about 440 feet. Missouri River, the longest in the nation. Most people assume the Mississippi River holds the record for longest in the US, but the title actually belongs to the Missouri River by just 1 mile. Clocking in at 2,341 miles, it begins in Browers Spring, Montana, perched high in the Rocky Mountains at 9,100 feet. From there, it snakes through 10 states, carving valleys, fueling agriculture, and shaping American history. It's also the route taken by Lewis and Clark, whose expedition followed the Missouri as they charted the uncharted West. Mississippi River. A superpower waterway, the Mississippi River starts quietly in Minnesota at Lake Itasca, but doesn't stay quiet for long. Stretching 2,340 miles, it barrels down through the country to the Gulf of Mexico, draining water from 31 states. That's 41% of the continental US hydrologists classify it as a 10th order river, meaning it's one of the largest on Earth. And get this, a single drop of water takes around 90 days to make the full trip. Along the way, it carries nearly 500 million tons of sediment annually, reshaping land as it goes. New Madrid earthquakes. When the river flowed backward, in 1811 and 1812, a series of massive earthquakes rocked the Midwest. The epicenter? The New Madrid seismic zone. These quakes were so powerful, they caused the Mississippi River to flow backward for several hours. It wasn't a trick of the eye. The land uplifted so dramatically, it temporarily reversed the current. One permanent result? The formation of Reelfoot Lake in Tennessee, which filled with the floodwaters. Today, the New Madrid Fault is still active, and geologists continue to monitor it closely. If a similar quake happened now, the impact would be catastrophic. Before continuing, subscribe and like to keep learning incredible river facts. These waterways shape our land, our history, and our future. And there's still plenty more to discover. Old river control structure. Holding back the Atchafalaya, down in Louisiana, the old river control structure keeps the mighty Mississippi on a tight leash. Naturally, the river wants to shift west into the Atchafalaya Basin, a shorter, steeper, and faster route to the Gulf. But doing so would leave cities like Baton Rouge and New Orleans high and dry. Atchafalaya River, where the Mississippi wants to go. The Atchafalaya River is the path the Mississippi has been trying to take for centuries. Every 1,000 years or so, major rivers naturally change course, and the Mississippi is overdue. That's where the old river control comes in. Without it, the Atchafalaya would likely become the new main channel, leaving the current Mississippi Delta to dry up. The implications would be staggering. From shipping to drinking water, to the economy of the Gulf Coast. Carter Lake, Iowa. A river changes everything. In 1877, the Missouri River suddenly changed course during a massive flood. When the water settled, it left a sliver of Iowa on the wrong side of the river. That sliver is Carter Lake, now an Iowa exclave surrounded by Nebraska. Residents vote in Iowa elections, pay Iowa taxes, but they live west of the Missouri River. All because a river decided to wander. Kentucky Bend, the state you can't reach without leaving. The Mississippi River has a way of making strange shapes. One of the weirdest is Kentucky Bend, a portion of Kentucky that's only accessible by driving through Tennessee. It's a loop of land carved by centuries of river meandering. Locals live in Kentucky, but their roads connect to Tennessee. Geography got creative here. River avulsion, how rivers rip and relocate. Rivers don't always follow the same paths. Sometimes they avulse, meaning they break away from their current course and forge a new one. Fast. That's how Carter Lake formed. It's also how entire deltas, lakes, and river systems evolve. What might take a glacier thousands of years to carve, a river can reshape in a single storm. Colorado River. The Grand Canyon's creator. The Colorado River carved the Grand Canyon, one of the most iconic landscapes on Earth. Over the course of 6 million years, water sliced through rock, layer by layer. At its deepest, the canyon reaches 6,000 feet, and it's up to 18 miles wide. But this same river is now in crisis, so over-allocated that it often doesn't even reach the ocean anymore. Lake Powell and Lake Mead. Reservoirs running dry. Two of the biggest reservoirs in the U.S., Lake Powell and Lake Mead, store the Colorado River's flow. But demand from cities and farms has outpaced supply. Years of drought and overuse have left both lakes at record lows, threatening power production, water access, and the survival of entire ecosystems. The over-allocation crisis. When the Colorado River's water was divided among states, officials used wet years for the baseline. That gamble backfired. Today, more water is promised than the river can consistently deliver. It's a prime example of how human ambition can overrun natural limits, with serious consequences. Remember to subscribe to keep discovering amazing American geography. Rivers aren't just natural wonders. They're powerful forces that shape how people live, move, and survive. Yukon River, a frozen giant. The Yukon River is one of North America's great wilderness highways. Stretching 1,980 miles across Alaska and parts of Canada, it flows through permafrost, taiga forests, and gold rush history. It's the third longest river in the U.S., but it's also among the coldest. At one point, temperatures along its banks plunged to minus 81 degrees Fahrenheit, a record low for North America. Despite the harsh conditions, the river supports massive salmon runs that feed ecosystems and indigenous communities alike. Permafrost and rivers, where ice meets water, 1330 to 1400. Rivers like the Yukon carve paths through permafrost, the frozen soil layer that defines much of Alaska's landscape. This interaction creates unique landscapes, like thermokarst lakes, sinkholes, and braided channels. As the climate warms, permafrost thaws and these rivers shift, flood, and transform faster than ever before. Rio Grande, border river in crisis. The Rio Grande runs for 1,900 miles, from the Colorado Rockies to the Gulf of Mexico. It serves as the natural border between the U.S. and Mexico, but the river itself is in trouble. Overused by farms, cities, and industries has drained it dry in several places. In 2001, it didn't even reach the Gulf, a first in recorded history. Disputes over water rights between countries and states only add to the pressure. 22. Big Bend, where the river makes a U-turn. In Big Bend National Park, the Rio Grande twists through deep canyons and desert terrain, making a dramatic U-turn. These bends create natural barriers, which is one reason the river became a political boundary. But the same bends also trap sediment and slow water flow, meaning floods and droughts hit harder in this region. Hudson River, the river that isn't. The Hudson River flows north to south through New York. Or does it? Technically, it's a tidal estuary up to 153 miles inland, reaching Troy, New York. That means the ocean's tide pushes upriver, reversing the flow twice a day. It's not just a river, it's a body of water caught between land and sea. Tidal rivers. Where the ocean pushes back, tidal rivers like the Hudson don't behave like typical rivers. Their current reverses, their salinity changes, and their ecosystems are incredibly dynamic. Fish species must adapt to both freshwater and saltwater conditions. The Hudson, in particular, is home to short-nosed sturgeon, which thrive in these fluctuating flows. Mammoth Cave, rivers beneath the earth. Beneath Kentucky's surface lies the Mammoth Cave system, the longest cave network on Earth. Deep inside, underground rivers wind through limestone corridors, forming mysterious passageways, echo chambers, and hidden lakes. These rivers shape the caves from within, wearing down rock for thousands of years, inch by inch. Subterranean rivers. Hidden highways. Underground rivers aren't just rare oddities. They're critical to drinking water systems in karst regions. But they're also fragile. Pollution or overuse can contaminate entire aquifers. In Mammoth Cave, careful mapping of these rivers helps scientists protect and understand one of the most sensitive water systems in the country, Chicago River, the river that runs in reverse. In the early 1900s, engineers pulled off the impossible. They reversed the flow of the Chicago River. It originally emptied into Lake Michigan, Chicago's main water source. But sewage contaminated the lake, so the city rerouted the river to flow into the Mississippi Basin instead. It's the only river engineered to permanently flow backward, an audacious solution to a deadly problem. New River, the oldest, new river. Despite its name, the New River is anything but new. Geologists estimate it's up to 360 million years old, making it one of the oldest rivers in North America. It flows through the Appalachian Mountains, cutting deep gorges and forming one of the most scenic national parks in the eastern US. Ancient rivers, timelines in water. Old rivers like the New River reveal ancient geology. They predate the mountains around them, meaning the land rose around the river, not the other way around. That's how the New River ended up flowing north, against the grain of most rivers in the region. A rare and revealing twist. Underground rivers in Missouri. Missouri is full of karst topography, meaning sinkholes, springs, and underground rivers are everywhere. The current river system, for instance, begins from massive springs that bubble up through limestone caverns, some with names like Big Spring that pour out 280 million gallons a day. Spring-fed rivers, nature's pressure valves. Unlike rain-fed rivers, spring-fed rivers remain clear and cool all year long. Their flow is steady, their color almost surreal. These rivers provide essential habitat for aquatic life and are more resistant to droughts, though they're still vulnerable to groundwater overuse. Salmon highways, rivers as lifelines. Rivers like the Columbia, Snake, and Yukon are home to salmon that swim hundreds of miles upstream to spawn. These runs feed bears, birds, people, and forests. Some salmon travel more than 1,000 miles, leaping waterfalls and dodging predators to lay their eggs, then die, completing a life cycle tied entirely to rivers. Rivers aren't just natural features. They're the lifeblood of a continent. From rivers that flow backward to those that never even reach the ocean, America's waterways are full of surprises. Some span thousands of miles. Others stretch no longer than a driveway. But every single one tells a story. Have a favorite river fact? Drop it in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay curious. There's always more flowing just around the bend.